So what is the truth about the twin flame stages? How many stages are there? What are the stages? Is that even a thing? Are there stages, right? And let's get this one out of the way real quick. Why should you listen to me, right? I'm just another guy on the internet, you know. You might be new here, you don't know who I am. And I would tell you, listen to the things I say in this video, right? Listen to the things I say. I was once in your shoes, looking around desperately everywhere for answers about my twin flame journey, in a lot of pain, struggling, the obsessive thinking, the dark night of the soul, the desperation, it was horrible. It was awful. And I went on to coach almost 5,000 students, and I've caused more unions than any other twin flame coach. Now, how did I do it? Well, like I said, listen to the things I say. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, of course, is, you know, some people, they like proof. And like I said, 5,000 students, you can go to my website and read testimonials from my students that are with their twin flame. Now, what's the deal with the stages? Now that we got that out of the way, like why am I an authority on twin flame stages? And I don't think I'm better than anybody else. It's just, I've been doing this for a while and I figured out what the deal is with twin flame stages. There's not really stages. Now, you might experience something akin to stages on your journey, and it seems to be very different for most people. What are some of the things that we commonly hear are the stages? Well, there's the separation stage, and then there's the inner union stage, and then there's the radiance stage, and then there's the mission stage, and then there's the pre-union prenup stage, and then there's the actual union, and then there's the post-union stage where you're in your mission. I don't know. There's like 58 stages for the feminine and 79.1 stages for the masculine, and you guys go through 122 together, and I don't know. Everybody's got, like, there's a million different answers for the stages, right? And what I'm telling you is if this was truly scientific, you would be getting one answer from everybody about it. It's like if you asked somebody, how many days are there in the year? Or the sun rises out of which horizon and sets in which horizon? How does that work, right? You're going to get the same answer from everybody, right? And I can tell you from experience, the confusion, guys, is that people are trying to graft the soulmate template onto twin flames, right? That's where it gets confusing. So at the beginning, in kind of the bubble love phase, when it's super romantic with this person and it's magical and amazing and all that, and it doesn't last for long, but at the beginning, it's so good. It's so good, right? And this is the one. This has got to be the one, this person. What the, right? Even if they're already married or you're already married or whatever it is, at some point it dawns on you like, wow, this is the way it was meant to be. What is up with this? This is a really special connection. And because there's that kind of romantic inclination at that time, in the beginning during the bubble love phase, that's why people assume that it is like a soulmate, only better or something. And that's kind of the impression that you get from the internet, that it's like soulmates, only better. And then when you ask almost all twin flame coaches, right, on the internet, what's the difference between a soulmate and a twin flame? They don't really have a black and white, well-defined point-by-point answer. Okay, and then they start throwing all this other dogmatic stuff at you, like stages and mission and healing and all this other kind of stuff. And everybody's got a whole bunch of different answers. And that's actually not abnormal at all when it comes to the endeavor of the scientific inquiry. And so that's kind of where I'm starting with this video about the stages, is why is it confusing? It's really not confusing if you understand the history of science. And twin flames is a real phenomenon. And yes, I'm going to explain to you exactly what twin flames are in this video and what is the deal with the stages. But let's talk about science itself, right? So science is how we discern the difference between fact and delusion. And I don't mean delusion in the judgmental kind of negative sense, but just like believing something that's not really true. Like it's easy for you to pull it apart, right? Delusion, fiction, whatever word you want to pick. And, people in the past, they were trying to figure out the nature of the cosmos and the shape of the world and how the human body functions. People in the olden days, they would engage in this practice called bloodletting, where they literally bled people almost to death and sometimes to death. You would cut the person and just squeeze all the blood out of them because they thought you had to squeeze the disease out of the person. And if you didn't know any better living in our modern world, at first glance, you might actually think that that's kind of reasonable in a way, because if you think of like a rag, obviously that's not reasonable now that we have more knowledge about disease, but if you think of a rag, like a wet rag, and you squeeze the water out, I don't know, maybe that's what people were thinking with the practice of bloodletting. So is it illogical? Well, not really, but is it factual? No. Bloodletting, right? So that there are stages on this journey is just another thing that people made up to try to explain what the is going on. It's so crazy. This journey is insanity. Oh my God, the obsessive thinking and the acting desperate and all this shit like falling apart in your life and all these changes are going on and you're seeing numbers and synchronicities everywhere and it's just fucking nuts. Like there can be all these really intense like metaphysical energies coursing, raging through your body, and it's crazy, guys. It's crazy. And so we're just trying to find something rational, and that there are stages seems rational, but here's where that breaks down. When you actually learn what this is really all about, that's where that breaks down. Because as it turns out, what you're doing is not actually like a mental, logical process, which as soon as you make that observation, in and of itself is logical and factual. Just the fact that we know what this is. It's like quantum physics, right? How there's all these apparent contradictions, like why can you have a particle that's in one place and all places at the same time? That's a contradiction, but that is what happens. That is how that works. And so a scientist looks at that and they go, that's really weird, but just because I don't know why a thing is true does not mean that it is not true. Okay, so here's the deal with your twin flame. It's you in another body. It's one soul in two bodies. And that is one of the things, it's like one of the only things that pretty much everybody, when you're looking around for information about twin flames, gets correct about this. Yes, it is true. It's your soul in another body. And here comes a whole host of questions like, well, Kurt, if it's really my soul in another body, then wouldn't they be acting differently towards me? Why are they running from me? And we'll get to that in a minute. It has to do with how we approach this connection, which is through the mind, through the ego. Remember, you are body, mind, soul. And the human condition, this is what all humans do. This is why you met your twin flame, so that you can awaken from the slumber of self, the illusion of self, the ego, right? In ancient Zen spiritualism, they call that Maya, the illusion of self. But where you're approaching it through the ego, and that's what everybody on earth does. Everybody believes that they are this personality, right? I'm a mother, I'm a brother, I'm a teacher, I'm a cook, I'm a bus driver, I'm an Uber driver, I'm a whatever, I'm a landscaper, I'm a whatever, I'm a lawyer, whatever. I'm the kind of person that likes these things. I'm the kind of person, these are my political beliefs. I'm the kind of person that acts these way in this situation. I've been to all these places. I have all this knowledge. I've done all these things, etc., etc. It's like a history that defines who you are. But without that history, who you are is gone, right? It's like, well then, what is a baby? A newborn baby. Is a newborn baby not a person then? Because I'm serious, because think about it, without the personality under construction at minimum, where is the person beyond the body, right? That's why I brought up a newborn baby. And obviously a newborn baby is a person, it's a living human. But you can see right on its surface how that logic is flawed. It is logical to assume that we are this personality, but we find a hole in that logic the minute we look at a thing like a newborn baby who doesn't really have a personality, right? So who am I then? Well, that's the mind. Body, mind, soul, personality, ego, mind, right? Who am I? Well, you're the soul. Well, what is that? Consciousness, okay? And that's your twin flame. Now, when you approach this person, your twin flame, who is another incarnation of your soul, I'll explain that in a second. When you approach this person through the actuated, conditioned structure of form, of ego, of the mind, form, right? Which is duality. That's how the mind works. I like it, I don't like it, good, bad, plus, minus, past, future, love, fear, right? Duality, like yin and yang, right? So again, this is an ancient spiritual teaching, and this is how I ended up here as the world's top twin flame coach, I guess. That's where I find myself, right? Here I am. Well, how did I get here? Is it because I'm discovered some new thing that somebody else didn't already figure out? No, actually, I don't think I'm really all that special. It's really just ancient Zen spiritualism. That's all this is. Your soul is consciousness. It is the awareness of the mind. So if you have thoughts and feelings going on, and this is why there's the obsessive thinking. Okay, this is why there's the obsessive thinking, and you're looking everywhere at videos about twin flame stages and mission and union and healing, and you're trying to figure out how this works. And what I'm telling you, and I alluded to this earlier, is there isn't really any way that it works. Okay, it's like you actually release all that. You release form and structure. Okay, there's no rules and stages. You align with the consciousness. Okay, and again, just because we don't know why that works does not mean that it doesn't work that way, because obviously it does work that way. Look at what I've done. 5,000 students. I've got a whole bunch of students that are married to their twin flame. Guys, this is real, okay? You have to go within into the consciousness of your soul. So again, the obsessive thinking is going on, and it's painful, but it's useful, because at some point you stop and go, why in the hell can't I make my mind stop? You can't help but notice it, right? Well, did you notice that you are a noticer of the mind? You notice the thoughts and feelings going on. Did you notice that you are the noticer? What is consciousness? It's the soul, body, so physical matter, mind, thoughts. Both of those work on duality. Albert Einstein called it relativity, opposites, duality, things being relative to each other, right? So body, mind, physical matter, thought, both are duality. Now the soul is neither of those. It's consciousness. It's not thought, it's not physical matter, it's consciousness, and it's non-duality. It's the singularity, it's the source, it's the one, it's a monad. It's not yin and yang. And you even hear this, these two concepts. This is what I explained in my video called What Are Twin Flames? You can go watch it on my playlist. It's called How to Get Your Twin Flame. That's the playlist. Go check it out. The second video, it's called What Are Twin Flames? And I point this out in both the disciplines of science and ancient Zen spiritualism, not the fruity, new agey spiritualism, the pop culture kind of junk food, fast food spiritualism on the internet. And I'm not saying that's even bad necessarily. That's just not really spiritualism. New agey stuff is more like metaphysics and psychology, which is the mind, okay? What I'm talking about is ancient Zen spiritualism, right? Like the Tao, or Buddhism or Hinduism or ancient Christianity. And I'm talking about like the actual core essence that all of those disciplines share in common, which is being and presence. That's why I'm always telling you guys to go watch the Samadhi movie, Samadhi, or read Michael Singer or read Eckhart Tolle, right? You want to get your twin flame back? That's what you got to do. Your twin flame is your soul, okay? And in both of these disciplines, science and spiritualism, real authentic spiritualism, thousands of years old, traditional Zen spiritualism, there's these two kind of observations. There's these two key concepts in both spiritualism and science. And here are the two concepts. You've got the opposites and you've got the oneness, the one. You've got the duality and you've got the non-duality, the singularity. And as a matter of fact, in science, the source from which the universe came is called a singularity. And when physical reality and even the discipline of mathematics itself breaks down, it breaks down at the point of a singularity. So as they're calculating, this was a long time ago, maybe 20 years after Albert Einstein first published, I don't even think it was that long, after he first published his general theory of relativity, they started playing around with the math and they got this weird phenomenon that they called a singularity, and mathematics itself broke down and wouldn't function anymore. And they theorized that they should find these things out there in the universe, and they decided to call them black holes. And sure as shit, in the 1960s and 70s, they started seeing what appeared to be, and they've, ever since the 60s and 70s, they verified these things are real. And as a matter of fact, at the center of every galaxy is a supermassive black hole. And at the middle of the black hole is a singularity. It's non-duality. Reality breaking down, literally. And they can't explain it. They don't know why it works. But they do know that it works. There's no denying that it works. And again, even concept itself breaks down. Mathematics itself breaks down. Listen to that again. The conceptual, the mind, thought, concepts, the purest type of concept you can have, mathematics, concepts themselves break down and no longer function when you get to a singularity in your permutations. And that's fucking weird because our mind is duality and it cannot comprehend that. And guess what? Spiritualism for years and years, thousands of years, has been saying the mind is duality. Yin, yang, alpha, omega, the opposites. And then you have, I'm feeling at one with everything. There's this teaching about being connected to everything. I am. And that's it. I am the one. I am the source. I am connected to everything, like transcendence. And what is transcendence? It's where you transcend the ego. Now, what does this have to do with your twin flame and stages? It's got everything to do with it. Your twin flame is your soul. So remember, I was going to tell you how this works. Incarnation, reincarnation, right? Like past lives. Everybody knows the soul does that. It incarnates and reincarnates, right? Past lives, future lives. Everybody knows that it does that, right? So what would be the difference between you meeting this person and getting in a time machine and going back and meeting your previous self, your previous incarnation? None. Really, there's no such thing as time anyway. Albert Einstein proved there's no such thing as time. So all of these lives, past lives, they're all existing right now. Time is really a function of place. And if that doesn't make sense to your mind, just Google it or something, right? And it still might not make sense to your mind, but it's been proven to be true. And again, just because we don't understand why something is true does not mean that it is not true. We can see that something is true, and they have absolutely proven, and I'm going to run out of time, but I can give you these specific examples of experiments that they've performed which corroborated, there's no such thing as time. And it's fucking bizarre. And that's the soul for you. It's this dichotomy. It's this contradiction, okay? So are there stages? No, there's no stages. You already are your twin flame. When you cling to the conceptual mind, again, we humans, the human condition, we are all identified as this personality. When we derive our sense of self from that entity, that's when we believe that it is us who is going through these stages. But what I take my students through is transcending all of the conditioned responses, all of that structure and form of the mind, and transcending it and aligning with your soul, which is your twin flame, releasing all the thought forms, releasing all this baggage, all this dogma about stuff like stages, for example. And that's when their twin flame unblocks them and starts talking to them again. Or all of these blessings come raining into their life. That's the best part, actually. Your twin flame is just like extra. Actually, the best part is what you become. Okay, because you're releasing the limitations of ego. You're aligning with the infinite consciousness that you already are. And by the way, you already are your twin flame. You literally are union. There is no separation. The mind is only able to conceive as separate person because the mind is duality. In ancient Zen spiritualism, they call identification with the mind, deriving your sense of self from the mind, they call that separation consciousness. And aligning with the soul, they call it unity consciousness, union. So you just transcend that system of duality, of separation, and you come to realize on a deeper level, deeper than thought, that you already are your twin flame. You are union. You never were separate, and that's when your twin flame shows up. Okay? And you cannot think your way there. You cannot figure out how to do it. It's energetic. It's not thought. It's not a journey of the mind. Okay? This is ancient stuff, guys. Ancient Zen spiritualism. That's the twin flame journey. And there's no stages, guys. There's no structure. There's no form. This is where you release structure and form of the ego and align with your soul, which is the timeless, formless essence that you already are. And then when you do that, that's when your twin flame comes back. And it works every time. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.